some reason they were kept. The saintly servant of Jesus, who devoted her life to caring for the poorest of the poor, who saw Jesus in the eyes of the last, the least, and the lost, who kissed the dying leper and embraced the starving child, who was respected and admired by the entire world community, and in fact was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, revealed in her letters that she had spent much of her ministry troubled and afflicted by doubts. She had gone through seasons where she doubted the very existence of God, and yet she still carried on her work for him. This sweet, strong woman, how could she have done what she did and yet been so full of doubt? Many were shocked. Some were even expressed a sense of betrayal, almost as if she had lied to them and lied to the public, and that her years of humble service had somehow all been a fraud. For others, though, her doubts resonated because they shared her experience of the dark night of the soul. She joined a long tradition of faithful doubters and the doubting faithful. I'm sure that we could think of many who have gone through these seasons of doubt. In the Bible, Job questioned God. Gideon dared to ask God to prove himself. Moses was constantly afflicted by doubt. David's Psalms are full of expressions of anger and frustration and bewilderment. Elijah thought that he was the only faithful one left, and he complained to God about that.
No.
Then we move into the New Testament, and we meet doubting Thomas. It's easy to heap scorn and disdain on him, but I'm inclined to think that that's a bit of a cheap shot, and I want to share with you why I think that. Thomas is called the twin, and I'll have more about that later. By nature, he seems to have been a questioner, a realist, perhaps one of those natural skeptics. According to some traditions, he was a builder before he came to follow Jesus. And we know builders. They like plans. They like precise measurements. They like things laid out in a neat and orderly way. Thomas was a sort of look before you leap kind of guy. Maybe Jesus chose him as a counterpoint to Peter, who was sort of jump first and ask questions later kind of guy. Thomas wanted to find out all the information ahead of time. He needed the big picture. He wanted to make sure that when he jumped, it was in the right direction. Thomas appears in the list of disciples, somewhere in the middle, which some biblical scholars think that he wasn't part of the inner circle, but he was an active part of the small group of followers of Jesus, that motley group of 12. The first incident that we have about Thomas, in which Thomas plays an important role, came when word came to Jesus and his disciples that Jesus' friend Lazarus was deathly ill, and yet Jesus delayed going to see him. Finally, Lazarus dies. And it's only then that Jesus announces to his disciples, now we're going to Judea. The disciples were concerned. They knew that the Jews were plotting against Jesus. They tried to talk him out of going. They may have thought to themselves that at least while Lazarus was alive, there was some justification for taking this chance. But now that Lazarus was gone, what was the point? Why take that risk? Jesus told them, I'm glad that I was not there, so that you may believe. Thomas tried to reason with the other disciples. He felt that not following Jesus was not an option.